Good morning, good afternoon, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the side event for South-South Cooperation Day, South-South in Action, Transforming Potentials into Shared Prosperity. It's my pleasure to welcome you today. My name is Xiaojun Grace Wang, Deputy Director of UN Office for South-South Cooperation. Before we formally start, let me remind you that you are all encouraged to participate and to make use of the chat box function in order to contribute questions and comments. And please note the chat box function is the only way that we communicate. Due to the arrangement of the meeting, we will not be able to take live questions from participants directly, but we will monitor the chat box and share your questions with the panelists. Also, the event will be recorded and shared on the platform South-South Galaxy. So you're welcome to visit back and to listen to the recording. Ladies and gentlemen, with a membership of 57 states in 4 continents, the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation aims to represent the collective voice of the Muslim world. The organization aims to safeguard and protect the interests of its member nations, promoting international harmony and peace among the peoples of the world. The Statistical, Economic, and Social Research and Training Center for Islamic Countries, SESRIC, is a dear partner of the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. It was founded as a subsidiary organ of the OIC. Over its more than 40 years of history, SESRIC has strived towards its aims to collate, process, and disseminate statistics, information, and knowledge, and organize trainings in various fields for the need of the countries, the member countries. As an active player in South Partner and highlight this great cooperative relationship, SESRIC and UN Office for South-South Cooperation has engaged in multiple activities ranging from developing knowledge and research products to their engagement and participation in policy dialogues. So today marks just last Saturday, the UN Day for South-South Cooperation. And around that day, we have organized a series of events to celebrate this agenda. This is a special event today, co-organized by SESRIC and the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation. We will jointly launch a South-South in Action publication, which provides new insights in the field of South-South cooperation based on the accumulated experience of SESRIC over the past 4 decades. We will have with us today experts to share SESRIC's good practices and initiatives on South-South cooperation. So I have to apologize due to an unexpected conflict of schedule. We will have Mr. Jorge Shediac, the Director of the UN Office for South-South Cooperation and the UNSG's envoy on South-South Cooperation, join us just a little bit later at around 9:30. To accommodate the agenda, let me use this few minutes to give an advanced introduction to all the distinguished panelists we have today. I will then have the protocol when it comes to their speaking, reserve the protocol when it comes to their speaking session. So let me have the honor to introduce the distinguished speakers today. First of all, most importantly, we are very honored to have Mr. Nabil Daba, Director General of SESRIC. Mr. Daba joined SESRIC as an economist in 1996. He was appointed as a Director of the Economic and Social Research Department of SESRIC in 2005. He undertook office as Acting Director General from 2014. On September 2015, Mr. Daba was appointed as Assistant Director General He took up his duties as Director General in 2019. Mr. Daber has been a champion and real leader in advancing South-South cooperation, and he has been working really with leadership example with the UN system together in promoting this agenda. And thank you very much, Mr. Daber, to grace our meeting today. This opening session will be followed by a distinguished panel of experts from SASRIC who will provide their perspectives on SASRIC's South-South initiatives and experiences in facilitating and promoting South-South cooperation agenda. First, I would like to introduce, on the panel, we will have Dr. Attila Karaman, Director of SASRIC's Statistics and Information Department. He received his PhD in Operations Research from the Defense Science Institute of Turkish Military Academy in Ankara in 2015. He joined SASRIC in April 27 after working in the management consultancy, finance, audit, and economic research sectors in Turkey and Germany. Dr. Karaman has active research on sustainable development goals, statistical capacity, and multi-criteria decision-making. Actually, in South-South cooperation, we do need stronger statistics and research and data, especially the capacity on having good data to inform decision-making. So it will be very beneficial to hear from Dr. Karaman today. Also on the panel, we have Mr. Mazhar Hossain, Director of the Economic and Social Research Department at SASRIC OIC Ankara Center. Mr. Hossain is also an economist, and he has over a decade of experience in public policy research, development co-op member countries with a focus on public health, sustainable development, and food security. All of these are critical issues for achieving SDGs, especially in the context of COVID-19 impact. So it's again an honor to have Mr. Hossain on the panel. And very importantly, last but not least, I'm very happy to introduce Ms. Samina Abdurrah Inan, Technical Cooperation Specialist at SASRIC's Training and Technical Cooperation Department. Samina is involved in the formulation, coordination, and implementation of technical cooperation projects with national, regional, and international stakeholders. As part of the training and technical cooperation team at SASRIC, she is also in charge of organizing capacity building programs covering various social-economic fields, as well as coordinating intra-OIC network events. The main areas of interest are women empowerment, mother and child support, humanitarian aid, and education, among many others. Again, these are critical topics that South-South cooperation is trying to advance as a cooperation modality, bring developing countries together. So I'm so happy that we have Samina on the panel today. So we have a distinguished panel representing all aspects of SASRIC's work. Today at the agenda, after the opening remarks, we will also have the Director General of SASRIC together with the UNSG's Envoy on South-South Cooperation and the Director of the UN Office for South-South Cooperation to jointly launch a publication, South-South in Action. And that publication represents several examples of SASRIC's like to build on this publication and to promote more such efforts in the Global South and to promote partnership together with SASRIC to advance those work. So without overdue, first of all, I would like now to have the honor to give the floor to Mr. Nabil Dabar, Director General of CESRIC, to provide opening remarks. So, Mr. Dabar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Grace. His Excellency Mr. Jorge Chedic, Director and Envoy of the Secretary General on South-South Cooperation, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers who are now following us in this virtual launching of the joint UN Office for South-South Cooperation CESRIC publication titled CESRIC in Action, Transforming Potentials into Shared Prosperity. Very good day to all of you. Over the last 4 decades, developments in the south of the globe have been intensive and challenging, with an increase in global interdependence. The nations of the south have become actively involved in facing their socio-economic development challenges by fostering technical cooperation to share knowledge, skills, and resources among themselves. It is heartwarming to observe that even the least developed countries, traditionally recipients of technical support, have started to provide know-how and best practices to help the other nations. Today, countries of the South play a significant role, not only in the enhancement of truly global partnerships for development, but also in providing solutions to the various contemporary issues, such as climate change, migration, and security, as well as sharing the global development agenda. These countries have actively participated and contributed to the post-2015 development agenda debates, and their vision of development have been incorporated into the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. In this context, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, with its 57 member countries, provides an important platform for cooperation in the Global South. It serves as a forum for dialogue and cooperation for a significant number of the South nations. The OIC brings its member countries together for policy dialogue, technical cooperation, and joint action through its different high-level fora, such as the Islamic Summit, the Conference of Foreign Ministers, the Steering Committee, and the various sectoral ministerial conferences, as well as through its various subsidiary, specialized, and affiliated institutions. Thus, the OIC reinforces South-South cooperation through providing strong political backing, linking countries that have development needs with those that have solutions, and through enabling sharing of technical knowledge, skills, and resources needed to facilitate the individual and collective development endeavors of its member countries. As a subsidiary organ of the OIC, the Statistical, Economic, and Social Research and Training Center for Islamic Countries, CESRIC, execute a wide range of programs and activities, from providing up-to-date statistics and policy analysis to conducting various training and capacity building programs to support and promote South-South cooperation and sustainable development efforts within the framework of the OIC. Within this framework, CESRIC contributes to the South-South cooperation by preparing technical background reports and research studies on important issues at the agenda of the OIC. These reports provide statistical analysis of the current situation at the OIC level, identify the problems and challenges, bring into attention the best practices, and suggest appropriate policy actions to address the challenges and strengthen intra-OIC cooperation in the relevant areas. CESRIC research on various socio-economic developmental issues contributes to the OIC policy dialogue mechanism and guides policy-making process within the OIC cooperation framework. In addition, CESRIC plays a significant role in enhancing the South-South cooperation among the OIC member countries through its flagship technical cooperation projects and capacity building programs, which aim at facilitating the transfer and exchange of knowledge, know-how, and experience among the member countries through different modalities, and effective partnership and cooperation with relevant OIC, national, regional, and international partners. Within its 42 years of experience, CICIG will continue to make concerted efforts aimed at enhancing the momentum of South-South cooperation towards attaining sustainable development in the OIC member countries. In this context, we are proud and honored with our constructive and excellent cooperation with the UN Office for South-South Cooperation. The launching of CICIG in action today is an example of this cooperation, which we hope will continue in the future. Dear participants, before concluding, I would like to express our deep thanks and appreciation to the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, His Excellency Mr. Jorge Chedick and his team for giving us this opportunity today to introduce the experience and best practices of CICIG as an active institution in the domain of South-South cooperation. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daba, for this very important opening remarks. I see several of your highlights in your remarks actually correspond to what the UN Office for South-South Cooperation is trying to advance with partners. And that's why it's very important that we have this partnership and we start with very good production of this knowledge. I would like to just highlight a few things since we are still having a few minutes before Jorge can join us. And thank you for highlighting the importance of knowledge. As CICIG is about advancing knowledge among your member states, I see that you have a very strong network of intellectuals, of institutions that work together. And I know that CICIG has been actively engaging with our southern network of think tanks, which we call South-South Global Thinkers, now involving over 250 think tanks around the world to advance research, joint research, knowledge sharing, and policy dialogue on South-South cooperation. We do welcome CICIG together with your strong network to join us so that we can benefit from your knowledge and together to advance this research agenda with the other 6 major networks across all regions. Also, we saw that in the South-South in Action publication you're going to launch together with Mr. Chedick, there are many initiatives that actually are very shining stars for the South-South agenda. South-South agenda has been desiring a strong research, strong knowledge base. So we thought that we could also together promote this, and I would like to introduce the South-South Galaxy platform, where we have over 260 institutions in the developing world. They are from government, from think tanks, from civil society organizations, from private sector. They're there to share their solutions and also express their demand for support from institutions of other developing countries. So this platform, I think, is also very important that we can collaborate, and we welcome CICIG to be an active player there as well. We met CICIG, at the Expo, Global South-South Development Expo. The next Expo, taking this opportunity, let me also, announce, it was announced a few days ago by the government of Thailand that due to COVID impact, we won't be able to have a face-to-face expo this year, but the plan is to have an expo next year, face-to-face, maybe, more digital, of course, greener, but still have an opportunity for South-South players around the world to meet in Thailand. We welcome CICIG's active engagement there as well. So there are several initiatives that we can advance together, and your gracing of this event today with us has paved the way well, so we will move together on that journey. Since we have a couple of minutes, I think what I can do is Jorge will join us shortly to deliver a remark and launch the publication. But following that, we will have a panel that I just introduced to talk about various aspects. So now maybe let me already share some of the questions for each of the panelists, so that when it comes to the panel discussion, I don't need to repeat those questions, and you will have that a few minutes in mind to think about your response to those questions. So actually, because you represent different aspects, different departments of CESRIC, we do have a few questions from each of you, from different perspectives. For Dr. Attila Karaman, we would like to ask you to address the following questions. So how does CESRIC compile and disseminate statistics to facilitate South-South cooperation? Here there's a little bit background to this, that South-South cooperation has been there for decades. However, unlike the North-South cooperation, the ODA system, there seems to be more a diverse way of collecting data and sharing data. It was not like a uniform structure already in place. So there are stakeholders who are saying this kind of diversity is the strength. Others are saying that no, we need to build a system to better collect statistics and to build the capacity and to somehow standardize elements of that. So that question is critical. It's still in the debate currently. We would like to hear from your insight. The second question we would like to ask you is what kind of support does CESRIC provide its OIC member states in building their statistical capacity? So these are the two that we would kindly ask you to address during the panel. Also, for Mr. Mazan Hossain, there are two questions too. The first one is in regard to research. How does CESRIC utilize the research policy nexus to promote South-South cooperation? You see, in UNOSSC, we have roles to advance knowledge, advance research. At the same time, we are secretariat for policy-making bodies at General Assembly on South-South cooperation. Often we see that the policy debate at the General Assembly opens questions. And if we don't do research to inform that debate, then that question comes back and back again, and the discourse stays the same. So we would hope all our efforts to mobilize research effectively inform that policy making. I am sure we could learn a lot from CESRIC of how you utilize your research to inform policy making in the setting of OIC. And also, the second question for you would be, what methods does CESRIC use to conduct its research? How does it engage member states in research studies? Yeah, so these are the two questions that we have for Mr. Hossain. Now I have for Ms. Samina, again, two questions. Bear with us. The first one is, can you share with us some of the CESRIC capacity building programs it provides to member states, member countries? Capacity development, again, is a traditional but still very relevant, very meaningful pillar of South-South cooperation. And there, building capacity in our agenda, not only towards member states, government, but also civil society organizations, especially in today's context. We emphasize a lot the capacity for women and youth. And today we are also thinking about this whole environment of digital transformation. We all know there is a real digital divide, and if the developing countries can capture this digital opportunity, this high-speed train, it could offer a leapfrog opportunity for developing countries through South-South and triangular cooperation. But if we miss the train, then yet there's another historical lagging behind to face. So the digital capacity is another question that has been debated and discussed, a very important topic. And we would like to hear from you as well. You probably also heard that together with many partners, that we are advancing Youth for South leadership program. We focus a lot on youth capacity. We have been working with CESRIC in advancing women empowerment, especially women entrepreneurship. So these are topics, elements that we would like to hear from you, to share your experience from CESRIC. How have you built the support the capacity development? The second question we have for you would be, how does CESRIC match its needs of its member states with existing capacity? So the need of member states, we at the South-South Cooperation have a very strong demand-driven nature of our work. So matching need with demand, with supply is an important element for us. That's why, I think, we can have some mutual learning from your side about how do you meet the need. I'm so happy now to have Mr. Jorge Chediak, the Director of UN Office for South-South Cooperation and the UNSG Secretary General, UN Secretary General's Envoy on South-South Cooperation, join us right on time. So, Mr. Chediak, for the opening remarks, we have already heard from Mr. Daba, and now we would like to give the floor to you to give us opening remarks and also jointly launch the publication. Mr. Chediak, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Grace. Dear friends from CESRIC, panelists, participants, first I apologize for the delay, but in a way it's paradoxical because I was in another event sponsored by the Islamic Development Bank on the South Center. So a sister institution of CESRIC was taking my time with pleasure. And I was reflecting in that event what the impact of COVID was having on the world and on us, the significant effects that it's having on the economies of the OIC countries that were expected to grow for over 3% this year and instead are going to contract by over 2%, how it is also affecting the flows of trade, investment, and other ways of collaboration, how it is also putting in question collaborating with others when the pandemic generated a whole series of new needs. So therefore, it is very important that we get together and from the multilateral system, we make a strong case on the importance of South-South and triangular cooperation. The good news is that in spite of all the problems and the limitations that the pandemic has generated, South-South cooperation not only has continued, but it has shown that it can provide spaces for shared responses to the pandemic, both from the sanitary perspective to the developmental and social perspective. And we have significant number of examples. Also many international organizations, and I want to praise the OIC system, including CESRIC, have become more active in promoting those exchanges and advocating for them. And one of the big challenges we have now, and that was the reflection we were making before, is that under the enormous pressures countries are from the fiscal perspective, from the social perspective, we have to really make a strong case why South-South cooperation is important. We can make it by showing the results it is producing, and also by showing the cost effectiveness of these efforts and the mutuality of that collaboration. So from institutions like CESRIC that has such a prominent role in the generation of collective knowledge and the sharing of experiences, it is very important that you become engaged in the efforts regarding the pandemic and the post-pandemic, because we will need to redefine many parameters of the global architecture, and we will need to produce a very strong intellectual and political case to promote those changes. And this whole OIC system is an extraordinary space for that to happen. You represent a quarter of the volume of the economies of the global South. You have established significant internal mechanisms of exchange, including trade preferential systems, a strategic health plan of action, and also you have developed as OIC, and with the support of CESRIC, a plan to combat the effects of the pandemic. So we have to showcase that within the countries of the OIC and to the rest of the world. So I remember when we first met with CESRIC 4 years ago, and we decided to deepen our collaborations. You are partners of ours in the organization of the Expo in Antalya. That was a great success and a great model of South-South cooperation. And we decided to expand it and also to showcase the work through our series of publications, the South-South in Action. Because I have to confess, before I met you and before I became more familiar with your work, although I had been a person engaged for many years in development cooperation, I had barely known your work. I knew you existed, but I didn't know what you did. And when I was reviewing the South-South in Action that our teams put together, I say, you are doing a lot of things. You have made great contributions to the development. So one of the reasons, one of the ways to highlight and to make available that information to other partners is through South-South in Action. I launched that series, I say I because personally I was very committed to it, as a mechanism for countries and organizations to showcase what they're doing in South-South cooperation. Because one of the big problems we have when we advocate for South-South cooperation is the lack of evidence, the fact that many critics say that it doesn't generate results. And through this series of publications, and we are for over 25 of them, it is remarkable what is happening in South-South and triangular cooperation. And the one on CESRIC, which we're going to launch very shortly, is one of those examples on how it is working. So I wish you great success in your future work, and you can count on the committed and continued partnership of UNOSCE. It is very paradoxical I make this commitment because tomorrow will be my last day as director of UNOSCE. I will completing my tenure as director, but I confirm the institutional commitment. And as I said, I basically launched this series, South-South in Action. We created it, and this is the last South-South in Action I will launch as director. So for me, it has a very special meaning, both from the deep partnership we have built with CESRIC over the years and the great meeting we had with you, Mr. Chairman, when you came to visit us in New York last year. And I will not be able to forget. The good news is I'm leaving, but I'll remain committed to the cause of South-South cooperation. I will still remain a UN staff member until the end of the year. And you can count on me personally, and as I say, institutionally on the office, to continue building on the extraordinary work you are doing and you have done. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So now, sorry. So now, Mr. Chadiak and Mr. Daba, let us jointly launch the publication, South-South in Action.
Okay then.
Let's hold up the publication. Mr. Daba has the publication, and Mr. Chadiak is going to hold it up as well.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Congratulations.
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 1, 2, 3,
Thank you.
photo moment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay. Now, Mr. Chadiak, Mr. Daba, and dear participants, I have introduced our distinguished panel. I have also shared the questions that they will address in the next session. Now, let me have the pleasure to welcome our distinguished panel to give us their insights and their answers to the questions. First, let me invite Dr. Attila Karaman. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Grace, for giving me the floor, and thank you for your questions. They are really pertinent questions, and I would like to actually share my insights about them. Let me share my screen with you for the presentation. I think everyone can see my screen now. Yes. Okay. Yes. And actually today's I will be actually focusing on compiling and disseminating statistics in our role as a facilitator of South-South cooperation among the 57 member states of the OIC. And in this respect, statistics is one of the areas really contributing to this area. And in this respect, I would like to focus on some of our roles concerning statistics. Among the 38 institutions under the roof of OIC, SESRC is the only OIC subsidiary organ with a mandate of collating, processing, and disseminating data. And these data really give a shape in facilitating the policy dialogue among the member states, where they actually try to explore their needs, their capacities, and their potentials. And with this data, they actually try to develop the several cooperation and collaboration schemes among each other. In this connection, I would like to actually highlight our role as a data and information provider and hub on OIC and also for OIC member states. And in this respect, our OIC statistics database, OIC Stat database, provides the most comprehensive data on our member states. Currently, we have over 1,100 indicators under 25 different topics. And these information act as one-stop shop in order to actually give the policy makers and also the researchers the relevant policy making possibilities among our member states. And over the years, we have developed other data tools in working in connection with OIC Stat database. One example that I can give without allocating or stealing your time is the OIC countries and figures module on our website, where we provide the country profiles on each OIC member state, where viewers can see different aspects of each member country besides seeing the relevant information and data hosted on our OIC Stat database. Besides disseminating data, we also give importance to analyze and visualize the data that we host actually on our OI statistics database, because nowadays people need to do actually very much visualize or very lively actually a presentation of the data, not only the tables themselves. For this reason, we try to actually diversify our portfolio in this respect. First of all, we publish our statistical flagship publication under the name Statistical Yearbook on OI's Member States, where we not only actually present the data tables, but also try to provide the short analysis on each indicators and also relevant categories that we host on OI Stat database. Other than that, we also publish very brief actually statistical publications like our OI Statistical Outlook or Did You Know module, where people can see only one page actually analysis on a selected indicator. In line with our mandate and to contribute to the efforts of our member countries in leveraging their statistical capacities so that they can actually increase their development levels, we also host the OIC Statistical Commission, and also we conduct or actually implement the CESTIC Statistical Capacity Building Program, whose details actually I will be sharing in my next slides. As to the actually modalities, how we support the member countries' efforts in with respect to actually increasing their actually statistical capacities, first and foremost, we have our actually CESTIC Statistical Capacity Building Program, which we have initiated in early 2007. And the main aim in here is to base the program totally on a South-South cooperation modality, so that we can actually focus on the needs of our member countries. Actually, all of them are or can be classified as developing South countries, whose actually needs can be actually compensated or met by the provider countries also from our actually countries. In this respect, how we actually identify the needs, actually we co-circulate every 2 years a StatCap questionnaire where we ask the member countries what they need, what they can provide, and how actually they can provide this. And after our analysis and identification, we plan our annual work program based on the equitable geographic distribution, their preference of modality, actually their geographic actually proximity, the languages used. I mean, there are so many criteria that we actually use in order to actually provide or establish the linkages with respect to the technical cooperation in the domain of statistics. After matching the statistical needs and capacities of our member countries, then we actually start to actually organize relevant programs or activities under our StatCap program. What we do is actually we organize short-term statistical training courses. We actually organize technical missions, workshops, and more recently, due to the COVID-19 actually pandemic, we have started implementing the online courses. And since 2007, we have actually managed to organize and also facilitate the organization of more than 300 statistical activities, benefited by 26 OIS benefited by 51 OIS member countries and provided by 26 OIS member states. In this respect, I'm glad to share that more than 8,000 actually experts in the domain of official statistics had these trainings since 2007. Another modality that we use in order to actually initiate the relevant cooperation programs among our member countries concerning official statistics is the OI Statistical Commission. Decided to be established in 2007, the OI Statistical Commission is very much similar to the UN Statistical Commission, where the heads of national statistical offices of OIs and member states come together under the facilitation and the secretariat of actually CESRIC. Actually, CESRIC, as the secretariat of the OIC StatCom, facilitates the discussions among the member states concerning their actually technical cooperation in the domain of official statistics. And in order to do that, actually, the OIC Statistical Commission covers the mainstream or the most recent statistical agenda, like the SDGs or the population and housing and even agricultural censuses, in order to actually enhance the statistical capacities of the member states. In this respect, OIC.com acts as the OIC cooperation forum for exchanging experiences among the OIC member states to actually contribute to their statistical capacity development. In this respect, OIC Statistical Commission acts as a unique approach for strengthening solidarity among member states, because the beneficiaries and the knowledge providers are always coming from our member states. In this respect, it is also a South-South actually approach in this way. Let me not waste your time, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And with this, I would like to actually conclude my presentation. I would like to give the floor back to you, Grace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attila. Thank you for the introduction of the statistical side of your work. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Hossein. Mr. Hossein, now the floor is yours. Mr. Hossein is the Director of the Economic and Social Research Department of CESRIC. Mr. Hossein, your microphone is muted, so the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Ms. Grace. A very good day to you all, and thank you for joining us for this launch event. In my presentation, I will try to address the question you posed to me. Maybe not in the order you asked me the questions, but I will try to address all of them one way or other. So let me share the screen for my presentation. I hope it's visible to all. Yeah, thank you. So in my presentation, I will be talking to you about the second component of CESRIC's mandate related to economic and social research, and how our research work is advertently tied to the promotion of South-South cooperation among OIC member countries. CESRIC is the main research organ of the OIC, which regularly studies and evaluates economic and social development in OIC member states with a view to generate proposals that can be useful to initiate and enhance cooperation among the member countries. The research activities of CESRIC are geared towards 4 critical functions: knowledge production and sharing, guiding policy making and supporting the formulation of regional strategic programs and frameworks, and encouraging cooperation through identification and sharing of best practices among OIC member countries. And the 4th is monitoring and evaluating the socioeconomic performance and implementation status of various regional strategic programs and frameworks. In fact, these functions ultimately assist OIC member countries and their institutions in effectively identifying socioeconomic developmental challenges and formulating appropriate policy response to tackle those challenges. So what type of research activities we are undertaking, and these activities are serving which ends? At CESRIC, in fact, we are using several operational modalities to conduct research. The most common form of our research output includes technical background reports and strategic programs and frameworks. We are regularly preparing technical background reports and research studies on a wide range of socioeconomic issues placed on the agenda of various high-level forums and ministerial conferences. As Ms. Wang, you asked me about how we connect, in fact, with member countries and communicate our research. So this is the forum and a kind of mechanism through which we, in fact, share the findings of our reports. as these reports are mainly serving as the technical background documents to facilitate the policy debate and dialogue process during these sectoral ministerial sessions attended by the ministers and high-level policy makers. At present, we are conducting technical background reports for 12 sectors, ranging from agriculture development to youth-related issues. The finding of our technical reports, in fact, have been very instrumental in strengthening the research policy nexus and providing foundation for charting out intra-OIC regional strategic programs and frameworks in various sectors, including health, labor, women, and women empowerment. In fact, sectoral strategic plans and programs of actions are an integral part of OIC's South-South cooperation mechanism. These strategy documents provide excellent roadmaps for promoting South-South cooperation and streamlining national and regional policies to spearhead the implementation of national, regional, and international development agendas like OIC 2025 Program of Action and the Sustainable Development Agenda 2030. SESRIC is also actively involved in monitoring the implementation of these regional strategies and programs by conducting online questionnaires and surveys to collect primary data and information from the national focal points. The findings of these surveys are very informative and instrumental in documenting the progress, understanding the opportunities and challenges, and charting out a more efficient way forward for the member countries to attain higher socioeconomic developmental levels. Of course, in addition to these modalities, we are also using other methods to produce as well as disseminate our research work. And one of such modality is collaboration and sharing of our expertise and resources with relevant OIC regional and international institutions to conduct joint research and work on projects of our common interest. Our upcoming joint report with the South-South Cooperation Office on accelerating women's social entrepreneurship is an example of such collaboration. We are also contributing to the regional and global policy discourse by actively participating in various national, regional, and international events. So how are we promoting South-South cooperation through our research activities? To address this question, I would like to take you to the last slide of my presentation. As I have mentioned, in fact, all of our research activities advertently contribute towards the promotion of South-South cooperation among OIC member countries. In particular, our research output have substantial impact for two principles of South-South cooperation related with exchange of knowledge and policy coherence. Given the diverse socioeconomic profile, knowledge, and policies of OIC member countries, knowledge sharing and policy dialogue could be instrumental in exchange of innovative solutions and policies among those countries which are on the similar developmental pathways by identifying and featuring success stories, best practices, and effective policy measures in our research reports, which we do on a regular basis for each and every sectoral report. In fact, by doing this, we are creating and promoting synergies for OIC-wide joint policy action and cooperation to tackle the developmental challenges across the OIC member countries. Ladies and gentlemen, before concluding, I would like to highlight that with our diverse research agenda and active role in supporting and promoting OIC-wide policy dialogue, we are in fact at the heart of a unique research policy nexus that is not only instrumental for promoting knowledge sharing, but also attaining greater policy coherence at the national and intra-OIC regional levels. With this, I would like to thank you very much for your kind attention. Over to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Mazhar. Your presentation actually inspired me a lot of how to connect knowledge with policy. Thank you very much. So now let me move on to have the honor to invite Samina Samia for the presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wang. My name is Samiha, by the way, with an H. That's okay. Okay, good morning and good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Today, I would like to answer your questions actually through a brief presentation, and I'll try to cover all the aspects that you mentioned. So for that, please allow me to start sharing my screen to elaborate more in depth. I believe now it's visible. Okay. So your first question was regarding the CESRIC capacity building programs. So I would like to brief you on that. Actually, we initiate and implement various capacity building training activities on a wide range of socioeconomic issues of interest to the OIC member states. Of course, the main reason behind these capacity building programs is to enhance the capacities of their human and institutional resources. So these capacity building activities are planned annually according to the responses we receive to our circulated questionnaires. So after we receive these responses and sometimes requests from member countries, we analyze the needs and capacities of different national institutions of the OIC member states, and our team matches the countries that can offer training opportunities with the ones that are in need. As we can see, we have few areas listed in this slide, such as central banks, health, diplomacy, tourism, among many others. So currently, we have active capacity building programs in 23 different socioeconomic fields and areas. So let me move, to the next slide to brief you on the main modalities that we follow while conducting our capacity building activities. So these modalities were happening physically by mobilizing the trainers before the pandemic. So the training course modality here is a bilateral form of collaboration where our center facilitates the transfer of a trainer from a national institution in one OIC member country that has the capacity to offer training to another national institution in different member country that needs capacity building. And we also have the study visit modality, and that is also, it happens where a national institution has a success story or best practice that deserve to be shared. So a group of experts and employees from one institution are mobilized to another institution, to the institution with this capacity, to monitor and have a hands-on experience on site. Then we have the training workshop modality, and this happens when we receive interest on a training from a significant number of countries on a specific topic. So our center mobilizes the participants from all these countries to the provider country, where they can all share expertise and improve their skills through knowledge exchange. I'd like to mention that we recently introduced the online training modality due to the current pandemic situation, as we all know, in addition to these main modalities. So this is part of the digital transformation question that we are currently conducting online training activities. And I would like to mention that all these modalities have proved to be very practical and cost effective, especially that they are planned taking into consideration the diversity of the OIC regions and the geographical distribution, and with respect to culture and language differences, and are all built on bilateral or multilateral cooperation mechanisms. And of course, the duration of these activities varies according to each modality's nature. So, after this, I would like to also briefly touch on CESRIC's technical cooperation modalities. So since its establishment, our center plays a significant role in enhancing technical cooperation among the OIC member states. So as you can see here, we have intra-OIC networks, such as, for example, we have the OIC Occupational Safety and Health Network and the OIC Public Employment Services So these networks bring together high-level representatives of the relevant national institutions biannually, where knowledge exchange and sharing experience are the main focus. So we aim at bringing the national focal points together to discuss work plans and roadmaps of these networks in order to reach consensus and mutual solutions that help increase the institutional capacities of the respectful authorities. So we also host and manage thematic portals at the OIC level in coordination with the relevant national institutions, which provide active platforms and knowledge hub for professionals for easy access to valuable information and various resources in the area, in the area of water, health, vocational education, among many others. Besides, we have the reverse linkage projects. These are technical cooperation mechanisms developed by the Islamic Development Bank Group, and we've been proudly implementing with other stakeholders, including national, regional, international, and OIC institutions for many years in different regions of the OIC with a view to respond to their development needs. SESRIC, of course, is the executing institution of these typical South-South projects. So your question regarding the digital transformation, actually, which is a high-speed trend for developing countries, I would like to give you an example from our reverse linkage project. We are currently conducting a program with Sudan, and this program is, of course, conducted with many other stakeholders, national and international, and we are working on the capacity development of the Africa City of Technology in Sudan. This is like a techno park that is going to be built in Sudan with the main aim of increasing capacity in the area of technology, incubation, infrastructure, guidelines, etc. And they already did on-job trainings, which contributes to the scientific advancement and economic growth of Sudan. So this is a clear example of your question. And regarding the MOUs, in order to enhance our role in South-South cooperation and facilitate collaboration and technical cooperation, our center regularly signs MOUs with various national, regional, international, and OIC institutions. These agreements frame bilateral, multilateral arrangements for cooperation for the benefit of OIC member states in the center's three mandated areas. So regarding your second question about the women and youth empowerment, it is actually a great question, and thank you for asking that, because we at SESRIC pay great attention to these two topics, and they are definitely considered critical pillars of the OIC 2025 program of action. So to elaborate more on that, I would like to shed the light actually on this initiative, one of SESRIC's earliest initiatives in the domain of vocational education and training, in addition to all the modalities that I've already shared in my previous slides. So this OIC VET program is actually was developed by SESRIC over a decade ago and launched during the COMSEC Economic Summit in 2009 that was attended actually by heads of states and governments of the OIC member countries. So the main objectives of this program is to support and supplement the OIC member states' efforts to overcome the challenges, the current challenges, and the limitations faced in the area of TVET. So the program, of course, aims to enhance the quality of TVET systems and the OIC member states by providing opportunities to individuals, especially youth and women, to develop their knowledge and skills, which, of course, contributes to the development and competitiveness of their economies, their country's economies. So because youth and women are critical pillars of OIC 2025, as I mentioned, if you allow me, I would like to, we can shed more light on these topics if I can give the floor to His Excellency, the Director General, so he might elaborate more on CESRIC's other initiatives in these two fields. With this, I come to the end of my presentation, and I thank you all for listening. Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much for our distinguished panel. I know that Samiha at the end also mentioned that the Secretary General will be able to provide more example. Before we have His Excellency to do that, let me also share a couple of questions from the participants so that these can be addressed together. So we have got two questions from the participants. The first one is, thank you for sharing with us all the experiences in your work of statistics, research, and capacity development. What are the major challenges you would say in monitoring utilization of your knowledge products and assess the impact of your capacity development efforts? Second question is about, does CESRIC have any plan to implement joint research covering OIC members and maybe beyond that can help to credibly establish and measure impact and outcome level key performance indicators on South-South cooperation among your member countries and with others? Yeah, so these are the two questions that I selected from the participants' engagement. Over to you, Your Excellency, Mr. Dabar, if you would like to share your wisdom on those questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Grace. Actually, before answering these two questions, I would like to put it in a very short manner. How CESRIC actually is an OIC institution which plays an important, I can say, role in enhancing South-South cooperation within the mechanism of the OIC. If you look to the three areas that CESRIC has been mandated to work, which are also reflected in the title of CESRIC, which is Statistics, Socioeconomic Research, and Training, Technical Cooperation. There is a very harmony and logic interrelations between these three areas, where cooperation, when you say cooperation, it means partners. The cooperation always among partners. You see, either bilateral or multilateral. So these partners, if they want to come together in any kind, in any format, in any scheme of cooperation, whether South-South, Triangle, whatever cooperation, they need to know about each other. How can I cooperate with you without I need the information about you, I need the statistic, I need to know about your capacities, your needs, your potentials. So this is what actually CESRIC is doing. Usually, always we are saying that CESRIC is supporting and contributing to the efforts of the OIC member countries towards prosperity or development. We support and contribute to the development efforts of the OIC member countries, but we should add through South-South cooperation approach. Because, as I said, we start with the statistics, because to let these countries cooperate with each other or to enhance their cooperation level, we have to provide them with the needed statistic to know about each other needs, capacities, and potentials. And it is not enough to have the statistic. We have to analyze them and then become the second area, which is the research. So CESRIC always, we are utilizing the data about these countries. We analyze this data as Mr. Hussein mentioned in his presentation. So our research reports and studies actually based on four elements, which are first, using the statistics, we are reflecting the current situation in that area, you see, and then we compare it with the other similar groups, the world average, whatever, in order to put our hands on the problems and challenges facing our member countries. Why? Because the fourth element is to propose how these countries should come together in any kind of cooperation to address or to face these challenges and problems. So this consistency, this logic in the three areas that we are making, still I have to mention the third area. The third area is our intervention, you see. The third area is the intervention based on the analysis and the statistics, which is training. I want to enhance it in certain modalities and approaches, so I have to intervene. So that's why we developed over these approaches that have been presented. Training courses, reverse linkages, study visit, all these things. The all over aim of this is to bring these countries together in the concerned area. Based on our, of course, research and statistics that we specify this area and based on the results of our questionnaire and surveys and all these things. So the intervention is there. So you could not make an appropriate intervention without statistics and data, without good and appropriate analysis, which is research. You see, this is in general, I want to put it in a very short manner, how the role of CICIG. I can summarize it with this. Now, coming to the how we evaluate the impact in our member countries of all these modalities that we use, usually in all these 23 specific sectoral capacity building programs, which based on the approach and philosophy of matching the needs and capacities, either through facilitating sending experts from the countries who have the capacities to provide the training in that areas to the countries who needs either this modality or the modality of study visits, transferring knowledge and best practices, or our training workshops, and all these modalities. Of course, at the end of these activities, we are circulating the impact evaluation questionnaires to both the trainers and to the trainees. And we got their feedbacks, and we're trying through the years to improve the quality or the way that we are providing these training capacity activities to our member countries based on the feedback and also based on the other factors like the technology. We are trying always to use the most recent technology like what we did during the period of the pandemic. And again, we are evaluating the impact of this online or virtual trainings. So we have our own tools for getting the feedback and to which extent the impact of these activities in our member countries. Concerning the question of the joint research with other, of course, as has been presented by Mr. Hussein, we are not only conducting research by request through resolutions adopted by the various socio-economic ministerial conferences of the OIC, but also we have other types of research. One of them is we always, seeking such kind of opportunities to conduct joint research with other either national, regional, or international organizations, relevant organizations working in the same domains that CICIG is working in. So we have many examples that we conducted joint research with the different UN families like UNDP, FAO, UNIDO, whatever. And also we have joint research with some other regional organization where our member countries are also members there in these organizations. We encourage kind of joint research also sometimes with the academia, with some academicians, people in certain universities in our member countries. The joint research also are not limited to these two examples, but also sometimes through resolutions of the different OIC ministerial conferences or committees or working group, expert working groups, they request CICIG to conduct some research with other OIC institutions working in the same domain. So we have many joint research with the Islamic Development Bank Group, with other OIC institutions working in the economic and social domain. The joint research, of course, always we conducted for the benefit of our member countries. I mean, the findings of these research, always we select the joint research on topic and issues again at the agenda of the OIC or on issues and topics which constitute challenges to our member countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baba. So I don't see further questions from the floor. Let me try to summarize and conclude this event. Thank you very much for the distinguished panel from CICIG to jointly work with UN Office for South-South Cooperation, and congratulations on the launch of South-South in Action publication. Today we have heard from the distinguished panel and the Secretary General on these initiatives and strategies of SESRIC to engage in South-South cooperation and promoting cooperation, especially on statistics, research, and capacity development technical cooperation. I think I have learned 3 things from you. This is all about powerful messages. The first is the power of vision, strategy, and synergy. As Mr. Daba emphasized, and I heard from the panelists, there's clear positioning of SESRIC, a common vision of SESRIC, building 3 strong pillars, but also there's strong internal logic to link and build synergy among the 3 streams of work. And that helped to achieve the result and impact. The second message I heard and I really learned is the power of institutional mechanisms. Each of your pillars is telling us that there is a commission, and there's a mandatory linkage between your policy-making body and your work, and there's a 2-way traffic of engaging, like using your knowledge to inform policy and leveraging and working with the institutional mechanisms to mandate, to express demand. So that, I think, makes the channel between knowledge, capacity development, and statistics smoothly, connecting with the policy forum. That's the second power I learned from you. And the third one is power of partnership. You have showed us collective efforts within OIC member countries, but also your proactive engagement beyond OIC with various partners. Altogether, I think the power of knowledge can only be enhanced if all parties work together. And UN Office for South-South Cooperation is very proud to be associated with SESRIC, to learn from you and to work together to advance the power of knowledge and to advance sustainable development through promoting cooperation. I thank you very much. Again, congratulations. And I see and I look forward to an even closer collaboration together with you in the way forward. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Daba, do you want to have the final word?
Thank you very much, Ms. Grace. Actually, I would like to make use of this opportunity really to again insist the excellent, the good cooperation with your esteemed office, the UN Office of South-South Cooperation. For us, it was really a very interesting and enjoyable experience. We hope that this cooperation to continue in the future. We still have almost to finalize another example, the output of another example of our cooperation, our report on the empowerment of the women, the women entrepreneurs. Actually, always we try, as I mentioned also earlier, that to strengthen, as you mentioned, our relations with our important and relevant partners, because cooperation needs a very effective and impactful cooperation or relations with these partners, especially at the international arena, like international organizations or regional organizations. I would like to thank once again His Excellency Jorge Chedic and all the team at the UN Office for South-South Cooperation. Congratulations to all of us, and we hope that this publication will add to the literature on South-South cooperation for the benefits of many other international and regional organizations. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hope to see you face to face in the future.
Thank you very much. Yes, the same wish here. And thank you to your excellent team. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
The meeting is closed. Thank you very much for your participation, dear colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Shams.
you.
Bye.